It's all about being in the right state of mind. We have two states of being, okay? We have our primal state. No, stop. It's all about putting ourselves in the right state of mind. We have two states that we can possibly be in. We have primal and we have performance. And a lot of times we're making decisions from our primitive, We have two states of mind. We either operate from a primitive state of mind or we operate from a performance state of mind. And so often we're making our decisions in that primitive state of mind. And before I go into that, I want to just talk about the emotions that we feel. We only have 8 emotions. We're not very complex beings. We have 3 positive and 5 negative emotions. Our 5 negative emotions are fear, anger, pain, shame, and guilt. And they have a lot of secondary feelings and tertiary feelings. And you might be saying to me, well, Justin, I feel depressed a lot of the time, or I feel anxious a lot of the time. And that's how it's expressed. But the core feeling, it probably comes down to you have a fear of something, or you are angry at something. And so if we really were to deduce it down, it would come to one of those 5. And then the 3 positive are passion, joy, and love. And again, Justin, what if I'm excited about something? Like I have these feelings of excitement or happiness. Well, it's probably because you're doing things out of passion or love, or you have just an enjoyment for them. And that's the feeling that we choose to express or that we choose to talk about. But we only have those 8 core feelings. And based upon those emotions, that puts us into one of those 2 states of mind. And if we go back to how we create results or how outcomes are formed, it all starts with a belief, or it starts with a decision that we make. Decision and belief are interchangeable here because that's what happens inside our brain. It's a belief that causes a thought. It's a decision that causes a thought. That thought creates an emotion. And that emotion automatically gets tagged to put us in one of those 2 states of mind, either a primitive or a performance state. And from there, we create an action. We move on something. If we're angry, we create an action. It gives us ultimately a result. We have an emotion of joy. We react differently, have a different action, and thus get a different result. So if we are now conscientious about the decisions we're making and the state of mind of which we're making our decisions in, and ultimately creating our actions in, we're going to change the results that happen. And by doing that, within this primitive state of mind, we're no longer going to get these negative, depressed, anxious states of being because we're too busy being in this performance state of mind where we're creative, energetic, we're clear, we're conscious, we're present, and we're actually able to make positive decisions, positive actions that create the outcomes we want. So often we sit back and we're like, I can't do this because, or this is what I want to do, but, or this is the outcome I was hoping for, however. And that however, that but, that negative thought, that negative belief, that negative decision has already put us in a primitive state of mind. And we're not able to blow down the walls. We're not able to blow not able to blow the doors off the building and go in and say, hey, I'm here. Here's my positive action. Give me a positive result. Because we haven't acted in the right state of mind. So often, especially in sports, we would go to sports psychologists and go through these things to put us in these performance states, or put us in the zone is what they would call it. And being so present within the game. And we go through these routines and we go through these things that we were supposed to do before a game so that we could ultimately perform when we got on the ice. And so often you'd go through these things and it would be inconsistent. Sometimes you would be in it for the entire game. Sometimes it would take you a little while to get into it, maybe a couple shifts or two, and then you feel it for the rest of the game. Or maybe you lose it going into the third period. And what that often is it's not being conscious and not being present and not making the decision to be in a performance state for a long period of time. How different would it be if instead of doing these rituals and these things before games to get into the state of mind, we did them in the morning and we lived in it all day? So it didn't matter what time the game was. The game could be at 11. Well, I live in a performance state. I'm going to perform at 11. The game could be at 6 at night. I live in a performance state. I'm going to be able to get into it at 6 at night. Take it to business. You have a meeting at 11, 1, and 5. You live in a performance state. You don't need to get into that performance state. It's something you are. It's a belief that I am a performer. That belief that I live in this performance state. Are there things you have to do to get there? 100%. But it's not taking you outside of who you actually are. It's you being present, you being that high performer, you living in the habits and rituals that you do daily that keep you in that performance state so that you live all day long in that state and can make the decisions, actions, and everything you need to do appropriate. Now, that doesn't mean that some of the results you get aren't going to be negative, aren't going to be things you don't want. You're going to find yourself in a difficult situation. But what that means is that you're able to take yourself and not allow yourself to slip into that primitive state, not allow yourself to dwell on it. Oh no, poor little old me. But stop it where it is. Again, learn from that experience. I've got another video on failures and what they actually mean. Learn from them, develop yourself, reroute where you need to go, and make your next decision from that performance state. And that is what it's all about. That is why knowing the difference between primitive and performance states and identifying a system and having the skill set to get from A to B, primitive to performance, and stay there is so key. And how that's going to open up millions of doors for you and have abundance and fulfillment and success and wealth just come to you rather than continually trying to seek it and trying to get these next shiny objects instead of focusing on being in a performance state, focusing on what you want, and then making the decisions, beliefs, thoughts, actions accordingly. Tying those emotions to that action and being in that performance state is going to get you to places you never thought you could. With that, I want you to control your state of mind. I want you to take control of your emotions, and I want you to be in a performance state. Let's go own it.